Hey everybody, good morning. You watching a slightly less sunburnt Rifkin? My arms are still pretty much on fire, but my face is feeling a bit better. I hope you guys are doing well. You're tuning in for the Corsair Cup Season 6 Finals. We are currently waiting on Bly to join us, but we'll be getting Vito's running here shortly. So for those who don't know the game plan for today, it is 2 best-of-5s, 2 semifinal matches, and then 1 best-of-7 grand finals match. Also, big thank you and shout out to Terminator. Throws in 100 bits and slays Avila's mom. Ooh. I'm so sorry. Hilarious also hit us up with an 11-month resub. That scam artist. She says, wow, it's been so long with a heart. Juvia Loxer in 69 also hits us up with 6 months to return to say PogChamp halfway to my rockin' Partoof. See, Annie, that's how you tell time. 6 is half of 12, okay? Thomas UK for 29 months. Wagnum code for brand new sub, and same with Hawk 2005. Thank you guys for joining us here on the channel. It's been, I don't know, an interesting week. I hate being sunburnt. We played in the caster tournament. There's like a lot of stuff that went on not on BaseTradeTV this week. So I hope you guys have been keeping up to date with all that stuff. But if you're not, make sure you follow us on Twitter, because it is where all of our stuff gets announced, like whether we're playing here on BaseTradeTV or playing somewhere else or casting somewhere else, etc. But yeah, I did not do so well in my group, but I do believe my group, I went down in a blaze of glory, so I will take it for what it's worth. Zombie Grub, how'd your group go?
It went great, Rifkin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, how great is great? Did you come out in first place?
No, I didn't.
Aww.
But I came out in second, so I'm pretty okay with that. Honestly, I just really wanted to like not go out last. So
yeah,
you know, it's a good thing. It's a good feeling.
Yeah. Well, not last sucks.
Well, okay, we had vastly different groups.
I know. I'm actually I want to start like a whole rant about it, but I had a good enough time and there's no reason to tarnish what happened. But anyways, Bly is online. We're getting things sorted here in just a moment, I guess. We already did the coin flip thing for Snute. He won, so I guess it'd be A or B, and DeVito is based off that. Our calendar is chock full of stuff going on, and we have some really big stuff coming up too, with DreamHack Atlanta kind of fast approaching. However, I would like to note that our events calendar has been updated for at least half of the month. The reason the second half isn't up there is because there are some things we don't have confirmed, and I'd rather not put them up on the calendar and forget to change them for later. Don't want to let you guys down. But some of the cool stuff that's coming up this week in particular is, you know, we got the Corsair Cup today. Yay! Tomorrow we got the Alima League. Woo! But then we got a really cool thing with the foreigners at the Korean house. All 8 of them are going to play in an in-house tournament, and we've shaken things up a bit with that. It's not just going to be your standard, you know, single elimination tournament, although ultimately it will be. We've given seeding to the 4 players who have been in the house the longest: Cloudy, No Regrets, Scarlet, and Major. And they're going to get to pick their opponents. Then their opponents that get picked, Elazer, Jon Snow, PT Drogo, and Neeb, will actually get to pick the maps for the tournament. So if they want, they can, like, for their pick, they can just keep the map pool as is, because that's the default. But they have the option of either removing one, making for a smaller map pool, or adding a new map and replacing one of the existing ones. So, for example, maybe Neeb wants to play on King Sejong Station. Boom, we replace Blood Boil with King Sejong Station. So I think it'll be cool. We're going to make sure to have camera in the house filming their decisions too, so it won't just be like typing on the BattleNet. We want to try and actually embrace the fact that, hey, we got players all together in the house for real life. Ow. Ooh. Okay, waving my hands around a bunch of sunburned shirts. I'm a hand talker. It's a bad thing, guys. Anyways, that's some cool stuff coming up to look forward to. But, and we'll have to wait a moment to go here still as we cover some more things. We have an unannounced tournament coming up on the 8th and the 9th. I bring up the 9th in particular because the 9th we've done a dangerous thing. We've double booked a tournament on the 9th. So we're going to be doing a tournament early in the morning, and then the Corsair Cup early-ish in the morning. Basically now time, but on the 9th. Now, the reason this is dangerous is because July 9th is my birthday, and for 3 years running, things have gone horribly wrong when it comes to trying to stream on my birthday. So, we'll see how that goes. I'm very hesitant to say that that double day will go without a hitch, but I'm living in a different place now. It's less shitty internet. Ideally, I shouldn't run into problems, is what I'm hoping. Also, thank you to Nervoth for the bits. He slays the slayer of Avila's mom, says King of the Nightest. Congrats on the win, Zombie Grub, he says. Then Terminator comes back with a 17-month resub to say, bring on the StarCraft. Sad I missed the caster tourney so far. They do have VODs that are not subgated, I believe, on the ESL channel, if anyone missed it.
Correct.
And then Fruslag for the 3-month sub as well. Thank you guys so much. But we are in the lobby for the first game in a best-of-5 sequencer. I'm ready whenever the players are. Just a reminder about game privacy, I guess, and we'll hop into it.
Hey.
Wow, that early morning sass coming out of Zombie Grub in chat.
It's late night sass over here, man. It's 2 a.m.
Is it still like 50 billion degrees in your room at 2 a.m.?
It is. It's warm. I actually had this one amazing 30-minute segment where I have the window or the screen open and...
Oh, when you're hugging it, you get like a little breeze and stuff?
And there was like this breeze, and I was like, oh man, I could actually maybe even have a hot coffee. It's that cold. And then it disappeared forever.
I think you're supposed to do that anyways, right? Like, you take warm showers and hot coffees on warm days because it makes you feel colder when you come out or something?
I don't like that. I'm not going to do that.
Okay.
That's a no.
Well, if you wanted to just go ahead and get naked on stream, you could just put the camera zoomed in on your face and then leave the rest to our imagination.
Actually, that would be kind of funny. I don't know about that in detail, though. But I've had such a terrible time, actually, with this weather. But I guess I'll comment more on that after the intros.
Yeah, because we're rocking it at game number 1. This is the Corsair Cup Season 6 Off-Season Finals. I'll explain what that means more in a moment, but to kick things off in the top right, we've got the Blue Zerg player. It's Experts Bly.
In the bottom left, as the Red Zerg, it's Liquid Snute. So, you know, in Korea, they don't really do dryers. You know, they have like a washer, but they don't really have a dryer.
Oh, it's like hang your clothes or whatever, right?
Yeah, exactly. Just hang your clothes. So, like, you know, for instance, when I was in the really, really small apartment, I literally hung them over my bed with the tiniest little window you'll ever see and tried to make do. So, like, that works most of the time. Well, what doesn't work is, you know, having the very, you know, good thing of having a patio and just being able to put it outside. That's a very good thing. But it's not a good thing when it rains. Because rain just effectively, like, unwashes the damn clothes. And makes them smell like mildew, which is not great. So, you know, I was like, well, that's a failed experiment. That's too bad. Let me just wash it, and then hopefully it'll be a sunny day. Well, today was supposed to rain, so I put them inside. It didn't rain at all today, so I'm like, fuck. So I put them outside an hour ago, and then it started to rain. And I don't know how I'm ever going to get my clothes dry and smelling okay, Rifkin. I'm going to buy whole new clothes.
I think this
because I can't do this.
I think this might just be encouraging you to go down the route of being naked all the time. Yeah, I wish you had one of those shirts that you could pull over your shoulder. Like, you know, girls have dresses that can either be shoulder straps or they pull them down so it's over their shoulders. If you're wearing something like that, you could totally still be dressed, but you just, like, cut the camera off right where the clothes cut off so it totally looks like you're naked.
I'm pretty sure I've been close to that before,
It's like the ultimate tease.
Looking like I'm naked.
All right, well, we didn't have anything weird start off this game in this series, which I find really interesting for between these two players. Snute is not typically a guy to cheese, but he is somebody who's willing to throw down the early pool here and there. Bly's been a lot more cheesy, but in terms of like all-ins, not like early pools, although granted we've seen him do his fair share as well. So I was really expecting like not a 3-base macro no rush scenario, but this is what we've stumbled into here.
Gotta mix things up. I mean, it's a fair mix-up, but Snute's not really like, you know, being overly cautious or and falling behind because you don't expect such a macro game from Bly. Although the spine crawler is really quite odd. Like, it's one thing for Bly to be greedy, but I would say that Bly is almost never overly defensive.
Right? That spine crawler caught me off guard as well. They canceled it, so...
A smart play, for sure. It's, yeah.
I mean, you're casting some quality StarCraft, and that's the highlight of the early game.
Well, you know, Snute can be aggressive on 2 bases. Of course, I would say that a lot of times, I mean, there are plenty of games where the person is aggressive on 2 bases as they take their 3rd. And that might have been a problem for Bly, but it was such a... Yeah. He didn't need it. He canceled it. That's great. The one thing that Snute has, like, a little bit ahead, though, I would say, is that he's also getting away with a gasless opener. So you can see that kind of reflecting in his drone count already.
Yeah, being up so many.
And Bly didn't even go for speed, because if he went for speed, I mean, he still, I think, is behind the game, because this game is very quickly going into mid game. But at least he has something, I think, to like cancel the 4th base, or because it would be the 4th base, not the 3rd, or even like scare Snute a little bit. He doesn't even have speed. And I'm actually, yeah, I was wondering what he was waiting for. It had to have been a lair. It just took a little longer than expected. So, but it's not even that much faster than Snute's.
Oh. Well, it's kind of interesting. I'm wondering. Okay, forget it. I was getting excited for a moment. They're thinking, you know, Bly with a gas opening over Snute. He didn't really have a way to confirm whether Snute had a gasless opening or not. But if Bly was going to Mutas, for example, he would have had a pretty nice head start to it. But that +1 range starts up, and we clearly see its roaches. Also, quick note. Apparently, I missed it earlier. I don't want to miss it, though. Kinky Mal, very long time dedicated supporter of the stream. 32 months. Hell, it's about time. Hell, it's about time I got to that shout out. Sorry, I missed it earlier.
Nice. Appreciate your support. So Bly eventually gets his Roach Warren. I guess that could almost count as like a greedy move to hold off on the Roach Warren, just get the +1 a lot earlier. But to be honest, it seems like Snute's greed is working out a lot better. The game finally has a point where they're actually going to be different here, other than just one person doing better, like getting better macro game, and that's going to be the Spire that Bly did get, even though he also went for roaches. Steve goes for an Invitation Pit.
Well, Bly is pretty well versed in the terms of mutas, as well as late game Broodlords if necessary. I actually don't know that we've seen too many Snute versus Bly late games. I know we've seen actually our fair share of like Nurture versus Bly late games and like a Laser versus Bly late games, but Snute is usually won by this point or dying. So it's really odd to see Bly playing this style, which by the way, I just want to comment, I do like. This is not a bad thing at all. It's just we usually see Bly play a very different style. So definitely a little bit off guard as far as like what he's opened with, and the fact that this has been, I don't know, a total of 125 resources lost 6 minutes in the game.
Yeah. This has been a very macro-oriented game, but it's unfortunate because I don't think this is someone who, like, I don't think Bly is losing out because his macro is worse than Snute, although it might be, just like overall we do always view Snute as such a great macro player. But just that I think that Snute decided to get away, like try and get away with more greed than Bly did, and it worked in this game. You know, in other games he's hiding a 1/1 attack or something, but this is a game that's great for Snute. Yeah,
I mean this is borderline game over. Bly does have the mutas, so he should technically be able to clean this up. But his roach count was all funneling in one at a time. Even then, it was only 17 to Snute's like 23 or something. So it's all kinds of awkward. Maybe losing the 4th isn't the end of the world here, but he definitely takes some serious damage from this.
I was gonna say, at least it was the 4th that was not a major mining base, even though they both have like 60+ drones.
Did you see the burrow?
Yeah, he's going to see.
I wonder if that was a reaction to that. That's okay, that's pretty nice. Snute's gonna be able to save some of his roaches and keep Bly at home for a little bit longer. These delay tactics I think are pretty huge though, because he does not want Bly immediately pushing across the map with his mutas. He wants to spend a lot of time at home cleaning this up.
Yeah. Snute maybe had a moment of just focusing a little too much, maybe on his roaches. Just like banking a lot basically, but now deciding what to get. He was already on his way, of course, to Burrow and Tunneling Claws. Tunneling Claws was a little bit later, and still like way ahead on +2 for his roaches and his hydras, but he didn't have those hydras as an option, and his infestors, they actually popped like 30 seconds ago, so they have quite a lot of energy.
Yeah, this is actually where it gets scary though, because Snute of course has Ravagers, so it's one thing to catch the mutas, it's another to hit him with a combo, but oh god, I got something on my eye.
Oh, okay.
Camera's going on you.
Yeah. That was a surprise. So, I mean, Snute really, I still think he has like the upper hand here. The income advantage, which I guess you can't actually see as I put it on, but it has been in his favor the entire time. And ultimately, like, you know, the Roach, Ravager, Hydra, and Fester composition is kind of, I think, the ideal composition. Mutas can roam around, they can try and make up for it, but I don't think they really did, although they did certainly help clean up that attack that Snute did. So I do think that Bly has to move on The mutas were not a great choice if he was going to try and continue to invest into them. But the Lurker Den, that might be a good choice. Remains to be seen, kind of. Lurker is not too popular in ZvZ just because, well, actually, I mean, the same reason they're not really popular in any of the matchups anymore. At one point, they were popular versus Protoss, and not anymore. I guess they're never very popular versus Terran, but people tried. The point is, like, you can circumvent them if they get a concave on them. They're really not that powerful. They cost quite a lot, as well as just take a lot of time to make. So we'll see how that works out. We have a scuffle down here, but the big fight going up here. Snute does have +2 over Bly, but Bly is going to have defender's advantage, which I think should be enough. This really isn't that scary of an army on the front lines, although overall Snute is up 30 army supply. He's got tunneling claws, roaches over here. I don't know where his infestors went to. I guess they were lagging behind a little bit. You can see that they're full energy now. So that was a bit of a scuffle. Didn't actually amount to very much, and the game continues on. So we'll see if lurkers are really going to be the great way to go, which, by the way, I think Snute scouted. Yeah, just barely when he got up in the main base. Snute, though, okay, you know, it's better than lurkers, a lot better than lurkers, is a potential greater spire. See Hive and Aspire thrown down for him. I think that's going to be the kind of epitome of the late game ZvZ, and Snute's getting there a lot quicker.
Yeah, actually, it's funny to see Spire. Thank you for covering. 3 eyelashes in my eye. What the? Anyways, it's weird to see the Spire choice out of Snute, and I mention this because Snute's very much like a late game Ultralisk player from what we've seen. Funny enough, in all matchups except versus Terran, because versus Terran he of course goes Broodlords. So if he is going Broodlords here, I find that really, really interesting. But we'll see if that ends up being the direction, or maybe it's just counter to Bly's. Fungal growths are good. A lot of roaches taking a lot of damage here.
That was pretty good. You know, Bly not too far down. Oh, no, never mind. Just they all popped.
Oh,
instantly like down 40 army supply.
Yo, if it wasn't for that overseer, then maybe there's a chance, but the lurker's dead on arrival.
Yeah. Well, this might just be the end of the game. Lurker's not really playing a part. Broodlord's not really playing a part, but I wanted to note that maybe that was a reaction to Lurker Den, because the Spire was put down a lot later than the Hive. I don't know if it was exactly the timing which is all the Lurker Den, but maybe it's a note, maybe it's not. The point I think Snute's just is taking advantages for certain here. Another Fungo's going to hit, along with the Corrosive Bile.
Ooh.
Very nicely done.
It's funny to me, Bly is going to push this off, but I mean, he's up in workers, which is what I find just astounding coming out of the end of this. Like, for Snute, this was a hard push to end the game, which, as we saw, very close to actually happening. But as we follow through, like, you talked about the income graph, let me bring that up again. Look at Bly. He takes heavy damage in an attack and ends up being so far ahead.
Yeah, in income. But of course, he's still behind in army and in tech.
Oh, God.
Although Snute didn't go for the Greater Spire for Lurker Den instead.
Well, this is an interesting way this works out. The Lurker's actually getting quite a few shots off, and Snute's army's really stacked up. If you think a Fungal Growth is good splash damage, look at those Lurker spikes.
Yeah. I mean,
that one Lurker, just saved Bly, if we're going to be completely honest here.
Snute is losing out here, really, not just to a single Lurker every now and then, but also just to defender's advantage. Like, it's taking him so long to bring an army to the front lines. And if Bly's allowed to get away with the economy for a little bit longer, it looks like he's actually just starved for gas right now, then he could bring it back up to a 200-200 game where he still has inferior tech and inferior upgrades, but, well, if Snute keeps overcommitting, might be able to bring it back.
The Vipers is a really interesting choice out of Snute. On one hand, you can abduct the Lurkers, and for those who don't know, that will unburrow them. On the other, Blinding Clouds, just to completely incapacitate a majority of Bly's army. I mean, it's still all roaches, guys. Like, Snute went for the +3 range upgrades. They might be high, but we don't see any Greater Spire. We don't see any Ultralisk Cavern. He's still relying on roaches, ravagers, and infestors, which is not a bad thing to do unless Bly had his own Ultras or Broodlords, for example.
Right. I do wonder why I didn't go for the Greater Spire. That seemed, I mean, obviously he didn't just make a Spire for no reason. That was supposed to be a Greater Spire at some point, but he might have thought he didn't need it because I think he was winning, you know. We thought maybe he would be able to push to win. And then maybe he just thought like the timing would maybe hurt him because Bly was pushing him back. And if he was investing into 10 Corruptors and a Greater Spire and he was being pushed and countered, he might have died because Corruptors don't really help.
Yo, Bly's a pretty clever guy. And for a couple of reasons, like, I would imagine him having Corruptors right now. I'm a bit surprised he doesn't. Whether it's to snipe off the Overseers or deal with what is Snoot's predictable Broodlords. Like, it's just kind of interesting seeing him almost, I feel, stuck reacting to Snute rather than making his own decisions.
Yeah. Well, I think it certainly is the game. Snoot's always been on his side of the map. That's what's led to Bly barely hanging on. Is it's a large map, and he's had to always move across it. And
he's out of position again. Lurker's in the wrong spot. Snute just walks into the natural base. If he takes advantage of this choke, it could really work against Bly, even at the top of his ramp here. Corsair Biles and Blinding Clouds. Oh, completely take the Lurkers out of the fights.
And he abducts, strips him out of the ground. There's only one left.
No chance to survive. Make your time. All your base are belong to us. He's trying to bait back to the Lurker.
Right? I mean, he's got 30 more roaches on the way. But...
Oh, that dodge out of the Lurker. I mean, but the thing is, even hypothetically, there are 30 more roaches coming out. They're coming out like a couple at a time, funneled from different wrong directions. He just lost the base, which is also his factory of making units here. It's not a great position for Bly. And he's lost that big drone lead yet, which is probably the best thing he had going for him.
Yeah.
Snute, by the way, in the meantime behind us, did go for a Greater Spire. So if at some point he wants to start going to Broodlords, he totally can.
Yeah, he's currently maxed out, so he'd have to actually take a fight and lose something before he does. And then he just remaxing, continuing to remax over and over again will eventually wear Bly down, especially now that he's taken out his bases.
Yeah, the 3-1 upgrades dominating the 2-0 as well when it just comes to straight up roach value. GG's get called. An impressive game 1 out of both our players, but Snute will take the victory.
I was honestly a little concerned that with the kind of better macro opener that Snute had, that he would just make roaches and roll. So at least we had a pretty long game for that. What's the next map?
This is where I'm juggling in my mind though. Like, is it a good or a bad thing that was a long game? Like, on one hand, definitively Snute seemed better off at said long game. On the other hand though, like, maybe Bly was lulling Snute to a false sense of security. Like, yeah, I'm playing macro today. Wink, wink.
Yeah, right. That might have been the whole choice. Plus, I mean, I think we really see. So this is like one of the reasons that Bly doesn't play macro. Probably is that the best Bly is a Bly that's in control. Like, it's making you feel very wary, and he never really got that opportunity.
I do want to address that comment though, because it's not like Bly doesn't like playing macro in terms of like, oh, he's a bad player and can't. But it's more like, I think Bly enjoys the early game advantages he gets from some of his more aggressive builds. At least the majority of the time we've seen him. However, he might have to just play a different style than what he's used to as well, because it is in fact Snute. And historically speaking, I don't have a Ligulac open, but I'm willing to bet Snute's got the upper hand in terms of overall series.
I'm not sure about that, but I think I agree with you. I think it's been the case. Thank you to Stuffy93 for the 14-month resub and Haru SOS for the 17-month resub. Oh man.
Dear Rifkin, by the way, I am in need of your keen SC2 stats. So I appreciate all the innovation and classic casting you do at Showtime. I look forward to your true classic. You use classic twice. Get out.
It's done.
You ruined it. This is like when you start rhyming things and you rhyme the same word with the same word. Doesn't work.
Yeah, you're just done.
You're done.
Get out.
Get out. Tank up for me later.
All right, and Hazel SCL. If we didn't get that one.
Okay, right. Kicking off game number 2 in this best of 5. It is the semifinals of the Corsair Cup finals. I didn't actually get into the whole Season 6 off season, so we'll do that after these intros. In the top right, it's the Red Zerg, Bly.
In the bottom left, as the Blue Zerg, it is Snute.
So you might ask why, after I intro Bly, we'll be talking about the Corsair Cup in regard to July. And that's because we're going back to our regular format. June was the off-season, quote-unquote, because we decided to invite players only based on previous Corsair Cups. No qualifications, no open cups whatsoever. We're going to be going back to our regular format in July, but if that format is not working because we're having trouble with signups, as we've had consistently in the last few months, then what we'll be doing is a hybrid of the two. We'll have maybe one open cup a month to determine a couple of spots invited to join invited players to play a group-style Corsair Cup. I think regardless of viewership or anything like that, this season was probably the smoothest running, least headachy Corsair Cup we've had all year.
Yeah, I mean, don't only speak for you guys, but the numbers look pretty good. Being able to know who's going to be available and on time, and smooth cast and then just be able to cheer for your favorite players. I think there's a lot to be said about the invited group, but I think we also both agreed. We already talked about this to death, like even like on like a pseudo podcast, that we don't really ever want to get rid of like the chance to have newcomers show their face. It's always been a great part about open tournaments.
And there's been a degree of it too for us where we can be like, oh, this guy finally made it to WCS, and they're like, we've never heard of this guy before. I'm like, you would if you saw Corsair Cup like 6 months ago, idiot. Stupid Nathaniels or Rotterdam or whoever said it. Like, ugh. Yeah, no, actually, what I've learned, and this has actually been a small sense of pride, okay, guys? This isn't ego. This is just simply pride, which I know are kind of the same thing. But knowing that like people like Artosis and others have watched like BTSLs and sometimes have had references to said cups in or Lima leagues even like while they're casting like GSLs and other things, knowing that we actually have an impact, even if it's as small as just simply referencing a player for a bigger tournament, like it makes us feel a bigger part of the whole, So I really am not looking to get rid of the open cups. Sombrigup's not looking to get rid of the open cups. We just have to find some middle ground that works. So hopefully maybe July is just a better month, but maybe it's not. We'll find out as time goes on.
Yep. So this game, it was once again a macro game, but we were talking about it earlier too, and just to keep on, I guess, discussing Bly's style, like. It's not that he can't macro, it's that whatever he does usually has an element of control to it. Like, he's the one that goes for speedlings because they give you map control and potential to just, attack, basically. Whereas Snute, a very defensive guy, goes for slow build-ups to slow roaches to eventually quick roaches. We're not even that quick. Like, it's a very different type of attitude to how you're going to play the game. So when I watched Bly not just play an extreme macro game last game, but also get none of the options that really like could harass, I think that's a big, contribution to why it didn't go so well for him. He tried to get mutas, which are usually good units to get that map control, but he got them at a pretty like unfortunate time where basically Snute had already gotten this advantage. So this one looks a little bit better. It's a lot quicker. Snute's not going to be able to send his roaches in and like try and stall it or anything, I don't think anyways, because we're like just building. And I think this is a better, we're going to see a better representation of Bly's game presence. There we go. Well, on this map. There we go.
I like that you brought that back, because like going back to the original point you made, if you are fighting someone who is like Snute, who is slower and relying more on macro a lot of the time, if you can do anything to disrupt that, it's not just that it gets you a tiny lead, but you really screw up the way that player is playing. So whether it's a couple of mutas harassing, whether it's the early speedlings or roaches, like you name it, I think anything you can do to disrupt a player like Snute helps you so much more than just an average Zerg player. Also, shout out to that 1 health drone.
But of course, I think the potentially a reason that Bly is playing like this, so still like, I mean, EAC, he's getting the Spire and it's all great and whatever, but like maybe playing still even more macro-oriented, no early builds quite yet. Might just be because Snute sometimes is such a, like, you can't break him. You can try your best. You can get all the speedlings in the world, and you're just like, very calmly deals with it. So it's definitely a difficult task, because I do think that it's Snute that has potential victory here. I would say if I asked me like 3-1, I think would be the score.
I don't know why my brain just went here, but as you're talking about trying to break Snute, I thought of like immediately those Stretch Armstrong toys back from like the 90s.
Snute's kind of like a...
Like, you try and stretch him out, you try and break his arm, but you can't. It stretches right back to the way it was.
Yeah, I kind of, yeah.
But for me, it's like, why is my reference in my brain Stretch Armstrong? Is anyone here old enough to remember like, Jesus.
Yeah. So Snute wasn't able to do any of those roach attacks that kind of stall out and complicate the game, but instead he just kind of went straight to Hydras. So, I mean, he still has a response to the mutas. But he's going to need that creep spread, and his 4th base might still be a bit of a headache to take, especially because Bly, despite going for +1 missile and roach speed, is actually still committing to mutas. I mean, he's actually, he started off with +1 attack, so I'm wondering where he's really going to go with this. He has his options open, I suppose.
Well, hit the main. There's a couple openings here and there. He's been pretty good about not running headfirst into stupid things yet. Still picking up a couple drones. Queen's exposed away from the Spore Crawler. But Snute's not staying home to deal with this. He's going.
Yeah. Bly's trying to get a sizable roach army. I mean, the roaches are a little less expensive than the Hydras, so he might just be able to hold with numbers.
Ooh.
But I think ideally Bly has stopped this push for like 30 seconds to a minute longer.
You know what's interesting? I thought he was actually totally screwed here, but the fact that he was able to cut off the reinforcements, now he comes in the backside, and the Hydras have to turn and shoot the Mutas. The Roach is going to be just fine for this. If he kills the Hydras, Mutas will be absolutely king.
Yeah, that ended up perfectly timing out. Only loses 2 drones, 4th base still alive, and I like to take on the rocks, and that was pretty perfect. Now Snute needs to hole up, and if he can't save his 4th base, he's going to be, actually I think I'd say in a fair bit of trouble. I think he can save. That's enough queens. With the threat of more Hydras, too, I think is the big thing.
Yeah, for Bly, it's more of what he might potentially fly into here. Like, he's also got to consider possibly not stacking, because if he does, there could be a fungal growth waiting for him. Like, he actually doesn't know is the problem.
Yeah. Oh, that's pretty important, though. I mean, if you can get a cancel once on a 4th base, that's pretty good. But, of course, if it's twice and then 3rd time and then suddenly you're being overwhelmed, that could definitely have played out that way. But instead, it's pretty safe.
This is kind of cool. Okay, so a Baneling nest was made, and I wasn't sure if he was planning to dedicate to it or not, but the Baneling speed now being researched. This is going to be really good at helping wipe out the Hydras, but the danger and the problem here lies in the fact that the fungal growth can shut down the Baneling easy peasy. So, this creates an odd situation where Snute will have to pick and choose. Fungals on the Mutas or fungals on the Banelings?
It's a good point. You know, he also got a Lurker Den, which can help out versus those Banelings.
Yo, this control of the Mutas has been really good, by the way.
Yeah. We've seen some excellent control of Mutas from Bly. Back when he was like one of the first guys, if not the first guy, to go for 2-base Spire in Legacy of the Void, he almost made me believe just because his micro was that good with the Mutas.
On a scale of 0 to Jaedong and Brood War, where would you say this sits?
This?
What's that?
7,
it surpasses Jaedong, you say? No.
I was thinking back to like the game that I was talking about that like made me believe almost. Like I actually thought that control was like a 9.
Oh, that was
Jaedong's like a 10.
That was some good sniping right there, by the way.
Yeah.
More drones
it's good.
Racked up. Total of 20 dead so far. Now we got those Banelings with the army too. Rolling on in. There's not that many Hydras for them to hit. But the Fungals do go up on the wrong side of the army, perhaps. Muta's going to focus on the Lurkers on the right side. It's hard to tell who's going to win this fight, but Bly does have the supply lead.
Yeah, he has a significant supply lead. You know, the Banelings, there weren't too many of them, but they hit such a clumped up Roach army, and the Lurkers just simply weren't helpful.
I like that he pulls back the Mutas. GG. For a moment there, it looked like he was going to dive in a little too deep, but ties up the series 1-1. All right, thank you to Quine for that 33-month resub. We're going to go to a commercial break, guys, and we'll get Game 3 set up. So if you're just joining us, it is 1-1 in a best of 5. We'll see you soon for a few more games. Hey, everybody, we're back just in time for the game to get going in a moment. Bly just waiting on, or we're just waiting on Bly to ready up. But, yeah, it's really interesting with things tied up 1-1. What I find most intriguing is not like, oh, how is the Roach play? Is their micro on the ground so good? Like, both games, it was kind of like a background macro game to Bly's attempt to micro, right? In game 1, he didn't get the units out to do that with, but in game 2, he certainly did. In fact, game 1, like, even just that attempt to go for Lurkers was really cool, getting him as early as they did. And as we saw, it almost, like, at one instant actually saved him from dying, but it wasn't enough to win the game.
Yeah.
But anyways, we're getting back into the Corsair Cup Season 6 Finals. Well, it's the semifinals, but the overall tournament is the finals. So the playoffs day, if you prefer. In the lower right, we have the Blue Zerg player. It's Bly, and there we go. This is what we were hoping to see some of.
Here's that confidence. In the top left, as the Red Zerg, it is Liquid Snute.
So to be clear, like, Bly doing this I don't think is at all out of desperation, and I don't think this is fear of playing Snute. As we just witnessed, he can actually take Snute on in a sort of macro game if necessary. I think this is a really smart move to do, though. After playing 2 normal games versus Snute, he's probably not going to expect this, but Snute did not go for a silly, greedy build.
Yeah. I think, like, one, all these European Zergs, American Zergs too, I suppose. Maybe not Korean Zergs, but definitely the European Zergs know that Bly is going to try and trick them one way or the other. So you're always on your toes against the guy. But then two, like, I was gonna say, like, any great Zerg player is going to have a cheese build in a best of 5 or hell even a best of 3. Even Snute occasionally pulls out, a 12 pool. And that said, I maybe think this is actually Snute intent to be more aggressive. But of course, his aggression just also comes with the added, like, warranty of being nice against the early aggression that Bly is doing. So we'll see how it works out. Snute's production is, of course, going to be one of his best assets because their speed's around the same time. Bly's a little bit faster, but Snute's going to have double queen and double hatchery.
Yeah, Bly's going to try and sneak her on the side of the map, but dodging at the overlords won't matter if there's a good number game at home for Snute. I really feel like as long as Snute is looking and he reacts immediately, I don't think he'll take much from this. Heck, the natural base shouldn't even really go down.
Yeah. Well, so, like, okay, so I think Snute's intentionally waiting on some of the larvae, like, wondering if he should be building a drone, or... Because, like, usually it's, like, instantly spam larva, or you're, not that great
money, right? Like...
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I think that's what he was doing, yeah. So, he even throws on a Banelist as soon as possible.
Oh, a little bit late to save that queen, though. Oh, that's going to really hurt. That's a big defensive asset now gone.
Yeah. Of course, the larva inject, too. But he's going to have, as I said, like, so much production that when Bly, like, initially has this high of, like, oh, it's going to work, and then realizes, oh, wait a second, like, I might need to worry about my own base here. We'll see. 16 links, 21. Bly still has the lead, just has to reinforce.
Yeah, but Snute's got Baling Nest finishing up here soon, and that's going to make a world of difference.
Yeah, he hasn't put any more drones in a gas, though, so he really is only going to have two Banelings. In fact, he takes it off right before he can even make 2 Banelings. That's perfect.
Ooh.
Yeah, right? Well, I think he realized that it's not a Baneling fallout for Bly, first of all, because that would have happened like a long time ago, So if it's not a Baneling follow-up immediately, then it's probably a delayed Baneling nest, so maybe he just figured he'd have numbers, which he wasn't wrong.
Oh, that Baneling looking for an amazing hit. Your Snute just needs to pull back with his own legs. Big hit on Bly. Most of his army goes down. Now, he did throw up a Spine Crawler, and 2 queens are down here as well. And this creates some good Sim City for said queens. It's a good defensive spot, but Snute could just run past this and go straight to the main. Goes for the surround, though. He's going to try and chew through this. This Spine Crawler's got a lot of armor. Queens are already down. Big surround, and that's probably it. If he just waits for those lings, too, with that Baneling, he'll catch them as they spawn.
Golden opportunity right there. Bly just... Well, couldn't prepare in time. This, I mean, aside from like a little bit of a scare when Snute could have made drones rather instead of more lings, and he lost the queen. I think Snute's build is really good against what Bly's doing. Oh,
that run around to surround the Baneling too was so cool. I really like these moves out of Snute. Drones are going down, but that's gonna be GG. Oh, I didn't have the score up the whole time, but it didn't matter because it was 1-1, not 2-2 or anything like that. So, whoops. All right, so game 3 goes in favor of Snute, who is now up 2-1, and if he wins this next game, locks it down. It should be noted that after this is Nurchio versus Showtime. Now, I know Showtime was playing in Ladder Heroes. I don't know if that's still going on, or I know I tried to talk to Fear Dragon about attempting to time it out.
Yeah.
It's Nurchio who's playing right now is the problem. There we go.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think Nurchio is the one that's tied up right now.
Yeah, so just so you guys are aware, we may have to take a break if the series like ends here and it's like a 2-minute game type thing. But hopefully and ideally it shouldn't quite go like that.
Bly is looking at the replay. So
give him a moment to do it, I guess. We could take a... Can we even take a commercial break? Yes, we can. Okay, I guess we'll hit up a commercial break then. Well, these guys... Cause Snute also wants a minute to BRB, guys. So we're just taking advantage of the downtime. Thank you in advance. We'll see you soon. All right, folks, welcome back. Thanks for watching that break. We're getting into game number 4. It's also match point because Bly is on his last life. His opponent, though, in the bottom right, is the one winning the series 2-1 here in the semifinals. It's Liquid Snute. Oh, cheeky
what a
Snute.
game. Well, in the top left has the blue Zerg. It's Bly, who might be getting the worst end of things in build order-wise again.
I just really love that for both of them. It's 2 straight up games and just 2 cheesy games. It's pretty nice.
Yeah, right? Yeah, I mean, I love Snute's response to kind of like the way the game, I guess, the series has been de-evolving into, I suppose. But for Bly, it just seems kind of like standard, like changing up how he early pulls, right? The last one was at the gas and the speed, but no banelings. This time it's no gas, only the pool, so he gets a faster hatchery. The problem is that I think Snute getting a gas is actually better, because they're still roughly the same drones, although obviously Bly will have more minerals. But speed is such a great, thing to have that I think in 2-3 minutes, Snute might just be able to overwhelm, but we'll see.
Well, this also goes back to the fact that Snute can even make banelings if he wants to invest into it.
Oh, he's going to make banelings.
Because he's still mining enough gas with 3.
Yeah, I think this just, unless Snute messes up, I think it just like straight up beats Bly. I mean, Bly's going to be able to scout it, but it's going to take him a little while longer to realize that it's also speed, because he might be thinking like, oh, it's the exact same thing that I am. So. Oh,
this is kind of neat. So he gets the baneling nest, right? But then pulls off gas almost entirely. He puts 1 drone back in now, but he like pulled off entirely, and I was like, wow, he's really playing a I need to find out what I can commit to game.
So this is kind of important that Bly actually gets a scout on the hatchery, because his overlord is going to take forever to do that. And if he had pulled back to deal with those lings, he might have had the wrong idea of what was happening. So I don't know. I think you can also tell that it's a baneling nest just because the hatchery would eventually come down if it was just speed. But the question is, can he still handle it even if he knows what it is?
There's going to be combination, spine crawler, and all these wonderful things at home, but Bly's going to have no gas at all. Like, he's doing this without speed. He's doing it without banelings. I think in the past, you could talk about these gasless defenses because you'd have 1 choke and you put 2 evolution, 3 evolution hammers down, you're good to go. That's not the case here in Abyssal Reef. There's 2 different entrances, so it's going to be really difficult.
Well, I think it's obvious that Bly's willing to give up his natural. Spine Color won the main base. He's just walled off the ramp. It's pretty risky to try and hold that, because as I said, I think he knows there's also banelings. Oh, lordy. He's going to try and hold it. That's a dangerous thing to do. Oh, God.
Baneling's really trying to wash off the Zerglings. Can't quite catch him, though.
The transfuses weren't even there. The queens are going to go down. The spine girls are going to be run past now. Or killed.
Surrounded. It takes so long to burrow.
Yeah, it does. He doesn't have a lot of reinforcements, though. Like, that gap in larva ends up really stopping the momentum. So Bly might just be able to hold on, even with slow ling reinforcements.
I mean, all things considered, though, for Snute, it's still not bad for him at all. I mean, for whatever value he's going to put into banelings, maybe he spends all the gas on the banelings. But even if he doesn't, that's the transition for him, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that... I feel like Snute was really hoping for more here. So,
I'd say Bly is still considerably in trouble, though, in terms of, like, he's had to spend so much money replacing queens, another spine crawler. The hatchery's probably going to die.
His counterattack might have been the worst thing he'd ever think of doing.
That's slow lings, right? They're not going to get there at any time.
Yeah, any lings he pops out defensively but surrounded immediately, like that. Okay, well, I guess this is exactly what Snute was hoping for then. Which is a win.
Yeah, hatchery goes down. This baneling's going to hatch up too.
Yeah. I mean, like, even if he did keep all of his lings back at home, he's still up against speedlings and banelings, so it's always questionable if he ever truly holds. But I thought he had a chance, more so than if he just sent half his lings across the map. Well, now it's just, it could be a macro game. So you could absolutely drone and win and continue to deny Bly's natural, because Bly, trying to get as many mineral-based units as possible, decided to, not ever get gas. Thought, queen production and ling production could eventually hold, and spine production could eventually hold, but that wasn't the case.
He just run the banelings into the spine crawler if he wants to. Transfuse goes into it, but it's still that full surround.
Snipe from the baneling.
Catches the queen too. Making me
nice
sneaky banelings.
Pocket queen right there. Better than pocket monsters. Pocket queen.
Pocket monsters. Jeez, you play Pokemon for 1 day. Yeah.
I played Pokemon for 2 days. Nah, I was legit into it, man. I was watching SSL and Pokemoning at the same time.
It's pretty like addicting, right? Like, it lets you feel good because you're like, oh, I'm getting exercise.
No, exactly. GG.
GG. All right, Snute will take series 3-1. move on to the grand finals, where he'll wait to fight against either Nurchio or Showtime. But it is kind of scary. It's like, who do you worry about fighting more, Nurchio or Showtime?
Both scary.
Because if the brackets had worked out differently, like these two would be in the finals not fighting each other, because they've been in the finals a couple of times actually, and just recently Showtime was dethroned from his like 4-month win streak or something like that, which was really impressive, I gotta say.
Well, looks like Ladder Heroes is over because Fear Dragon has hosted us.
Oh, did he? Shoot. Oh, Fear Dragon, thank you for the host. 340 viewers? I thought you had 1,000 nice view bots, bro. No, the Twitch thing's really annoying. We'll host people, it's so backwards. Like if we host somebody for like it'll say 300 viewers, viewer count will go up like 600. We'll host somebody for like 1,000 viewers, viewer count will go up by like 200. Hosting, I don't think is working properly lately. But either way, for those that did manage to see our stream from Fear Dragons, hello. Thank you for joining us, and I hope you guys had a good time over there on Ladder Heroes. But unfortunately, you are joining us just in time for our commercial break, so we got to do the vetoes, and we got to get Showtime and Nurchio ready to go. Hopefully, by the time we're back, they will be ready to fight. So it's going to be, for those just joining us, a best of 5, Showtime versus Nurchio, and then the winner will fight against Snute. Also, speaking of the man, the myth, the butt himself, it's Fear Dragon with the 41 months. The ZvZ hypes after it's over, though. Ooh, bad timing. Rough. Well, maybe there'll be ZvZ finals. Either way, we'll see you guys in a few minutes. Thank you for tuning in. We'll be back soon.